everyone, and welcome back to the show. I'm your host, The Vigilante, and I'm back at it with another video. So for today's video, we're going to get into some more Harman Smith. And remember, folks, please wrap it up so you don't produce someone like a Harman Smith. Let's get into the video.
It's been really shocking watching everyone walk back all of their complaints about the Nintendo Switch 2. You know, so many people were trying to come out like day one saying this thing was gonna bomb, this would be a Wii U situation, that nobody would want to upgrade, that there were no games coming out on this thing, that this thing had no audience. It was too expensive.
Can you please show facts for once? Can you show proof that people were actually saying this? The only thing I can confirm right now is that people did sit there and say it was too expensive, which is true, it is.
And meanwhile, in reality, the thing is already sold out, and we have a pretty stacked 2025. Now, like, people are going to cope and seethe about that, like they have been, like, oh, third-party ports, oh, no mature games. You know, a lot of these games are available on Switch 1 as well. You know, Bonanza can't get, Mario Kart can't carry a console, which is, like, the greatest cope, I think, the biggest cope I think I've ever seen ever, right? Like, it's
that motion that you just made, are you used to doing that? Does that bring him back some memories with your daddy Doug Bowser?
It's kind of insane, you know, seeing just how many people have just done whatever they possibly could to see about Nintendo Switch 2. Like, it's just been, like, unreal seeing the narratives crop up, be stricken down, and then, like, the next major cope just come out of nowhere. Right? Like, again...
Can you please explain what they're always coping about or what their reactions are? Like, you love to sit there and talk about. Are the voices in your head not letting you?
This happens every Nintendo console cycle. This is nothing new. You know, like, we saw this happen during the Switch era, but it does feel like there's a little bit more panic in the air, right? This time, it feels like people are getting scared. Because, you know, the narrative going into this was that, like, oh yeah, PlayStation and Xbox are failing because consoles are failing. You know, like, consoles as a concept, like, can't survive in the modern era. PC's taking over, mobile's taking over. Like, nobody wants consoles. That was, like, the genuine belief for a lot of people. And yet, like...
That was not the general belief. The general belief was people are worried about what the gaming industry is going when Nintendo opened the floodgates for selling overpriced consoles and overpriced games. And then no one sits there and says that mobile games are going to take over. No one in any seriousness is going to sit there and say that. Mobile gaming is a joke. It's not even really a part of the gaming industry.
They don't really seem to admit the elephant in the room, right? They don't want to address the reality that Nintendo won the console war. You know, like, talking about PlayStation and Xbox failing is completely...
That would require Nintendo to have a console, which they do not have. They haven't had one since the Wii U, which was a massive failure. They have a handheld. The Switch is nothing more than a handheld that just happens to connect to a TV, you fucking idiot.
Understating the reality of the situation is that they lost to Nintendo, right? It's just like this gigantic cope. You know, this just stubborn refusal to admit that, like, Nintendo hardware and its game and its software are extremely popular, right?
Yes, Nintendo hardware and software is popular. Guess who? Among children and families.
Especially in the case of hardware, right? But, like, this is also true for software. We go through this with, like, every major Nintendo release, where, like, you know, leading up to release, where, like, the game is the next big thing on the horizon, you know, you see so many people seething, you know, like, oh, I don't think Mario Kart World can carry a console, oh, I think Donkey Kong Bonanza's too goofy, you know, like, I don't think the Switch 2 is going to sell that well, you know, you see all these people, like, throw out all of these insane takes.
No, most people are sitting there saying that the console isn't going to sell as many as the Switch is, which is very true. They cannot sit there and set it out at a price that high and at an $80 game and expect to sell as much. And no, I do not think Mario Kart World is going to sit there and carry the console. If it wasn't bundled in with the bundle, I don't think most people would pay $80 for that game. Now, that is me speculating.
And then when, like, they inevitably get proven wrong, they don't even really, like, walk them back. They just kind of move on to the next thing. You know, like, we saw this with, like, last year with Mario and Luigi Brothership, actually, where, like, so many people, like, day one, were trying to call this, like, some major disaster or a disappointment or, like, you know, a major step downward for the franchise when, like, you know, actual fans, like myself, generally consider this to be the best Mario and Luigi ever.
Beat 'em ups, one of the biggest Nintendo YouTubers, loves Nintendo. He is the poster boy for Nintendo, and he didn't even sit there and say this was a good game. Most Nintendo people thought this was a trash garbage game.
Right, like, I feel very strongly about that. Very strongly. And yet, I'm supposed to believe that, like, Mario and Luigi Brothership is bad because IGN said so.
Many Nintendo people said so also. Now, I don't go off of IGN, because IGN also sat there and said Dragon Age Belgard was like an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10, so IGN is not more than a paid joke.
You know, like, I'm supposed to listen to Logan Plant because Beat 'em Ups had him on his YouTube channel. Like, it's just, why should I care what these YouTubers say ever? You know, like, I remember 10 years ago watching Review Tech USA and thinking to myself, like, this guy is kind of a retard. And what happens? You know, he eventually, the rest of the audience begins to agree with me, you know? And, like, the same can be true for, like, all these other personalities, whether it's, like, Arlo, or Scott the Waz, or Beat 'em Ups, or, like, you know, Peanut Butter Gamer, Mudahar, Gerard the Completionist, Carl Jobs. Like, they're all the same. Okay, at their core, they're all the same.
Listen, if you enjoy the game, who cares what everybody else thinks? Who cares if it doesn't win Game of the Year? You even said yourself the Game of the Year doesn't really mean anything. All it is bragging rights for the company. Listen, I thoroughly enjoy Assassin's Creed Shadows. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of other people make it out to be. Do I think it's the most amazing? No, I don't think it's the best one in their series. I don't think it's the best one this year, but I still am enjoying my time playing the game. I'm still currently playing the game. So if you enjoy a game that is most people do not consider to be a good game, who cares? Just have fun with your game.
They're YouTubers grifting for attention and don't actually like or enjoy the hobby and don't really know what they're talking about. You know, this is the big major thing that I've noticed, you know, going into the Switch 2 era, is just how delusional the audience actually is. You know, like, they really don't like, they're really not going to acknowledge the Switch 2 as being this huge success story until, like,
it hasn't even come out yet. How is everybody supposed to say that a thing is a huge success story when it hasn't even come out yet? Yeah, so it sold a few million copies so far, or a few million units. What happens if it only sells like a total of 20 million units by the end of its life cycle? We don't know how much it's going to sell.
It's well past, like, the 50 million units sold mark. And even then, they'll try and gaslight you into thinking that, like, it's not selling as well as Switch 1, or that, like, you know, it's just like a declining brand in general. It's
most people do not think it will sell as well as the Switch 1. That is very true.
It's not going to work, but they're going to try. And that's kind of my feeling on it. You know, looking at like the current situation, looking at, like, you know, all of these games selling out, and just looking how many games I'm looking to pick up day one. Like, this thing is going to be extraordinarily successful. That's very self-evident at this point. And yet, no analyst wants to admit it, no journo wants to admit it, no YouTuber wants to admit it, because it flies in the face of the narrative. You know, the idea that Nintendo is somehow some perpetually declining brand.
Beat 'em Ups and Austin John Plays and Nintendo Prime are all praising it. They are all sitting there saying how successful that this is going to be. And honestly, I can't wait to see you play Elden Ring on the Switch 2. I can't wait for you to play Cyberpunk 2077 on the Switch 2. I think you're going to be praising these games.
Even though they're constantly just breaking records and just putting out banger after banger. You know, like, not only is Nintendo dominating, like, the video game world, they're probably the most well-run company in entertainment, period, you know?
Is it me, or does that glass look really dirty? Either that or it's your phone. Honestly, you need to get a new camera, and you need to actually just clean that damn glass.
It's crazy what they've accomplished over the past 40 years. And yet, you still have this dedicated group of naysayers who genuinely think that Gabe Newell and his fat ass somehow accomplished more in gaming because he created a store. You know, like imagine if I said that, like, Walmart is like some major player in gaming because you can go there and buy video games. You know, that's how insane it is.
Walmart is a retail store, but I'm glad how we always sit there and say all these naysayers. I think he's talking about me and other people. We're not naysayers. We're doing healthy criticism so we can have the gaming industry go back to being great again.
Are on the same level of, like, influence in the gaming sphere as Gabe Newell, right? He is the CEO of the Walmart equivalent in PC gaming, right? That's all Gabe Newell is. He is a fraud.
The only fraud here is you. Not even Nintendo accepts you. They look at you as nothing but a liability. They just want to keep you hidden in that basement.
His son doesn't even like video games. So when you take that into consideration, when you take into consideration, like, who the competition actually is, like, what you come away with is that, like, there is no competition. You know, nobody has as many recognizable characters. Nobody has as many, like, exciting upcoming games. You know, like, you know, Cyberpunk 2077 came out, like, what, 5 years ago? Like, what has CD Projekt Red put out since then?
Well, CD Projekt Red don't reuse their assets. They keep creating new games. Maybe CD Projekt Red, you need to reuse your assets so we can get the games a lot quicker.
You know, like, they announced The Witcher 4, because they're desperate. But again, they're on the way out, clearly. Like Nintendo put out like Animal Crossing New Horizon in 2020. A game that like outperformed Cyberpunk 2070. So like when you really left with is like a bunch of people who are super excited about the next Nintendo thing, really wanting to really looking forward to the next Nintendo console and its new games, and then you have like 40-year-old boomers, 50-year-old boomers who have been like attacking Nintendo their entire like adult lives, who genuinely believe.
I guarantee you those boomers you're talking about, they were playing Nintendo back in the 90s. Nintendo was at the top of its height back in the 90s. It was amazing. That's the only console war they have ever won was against Sega. After that, when the 2000s hit, they've been getting their ass whooped by Sony for decades.
That the company is due to fail like any day now. Like, no. Like, it is a giant cope. You are completely delusional. You are out of touch with reality. Like, you need to understand the fact that Nintendo is here to stay.
And I hope Nintendo is here to stay. Competition is generally considered a good thing. You're the only one that doesn't want competition. You want Nintendo to do a monopoly on the whole gaming industry. Well, that's it for my reaction. Let me know down in the comments if you agree with me or not. Please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay vigilant.